What's going on, everybody? Welcome into the Baltimore Ravens Rundown. My name is Joey Petersen. It is Wednesday. That means we are live, and we got a ton of awesome segments to cover on today's show. We're going to start off with some draft targets, because if you're going to be bad at football, might as well look forward to the draft, right? Right now, we're slotted to have the 13th overall pick, so we're going to look at some names you should maybe be keeping an eye on over the next couple of months. Then we're going to get into my Ravens-Bengals preview. Week 15, this one is do or die. And then we're going to wrap things up with our live Ravens mailbag, your questions, my answers. If you want to get on the show, use hashtag Ravens down below in the chat and get those questions in. While you're getting down there in the chat, first off, welcome in. So happy you're here. Second off, what is the % chance the Ravens make the playoffs? Let me know down below in the comment section. I made this the live poll, and right now, the leader is 26 to 50%. But 0 to 50%, like less than 50%, is in the majority at 68% of people are feeling that way. Gage, where would you put it? % chance the Ravens make the playoffs, 1 to 100.
Right about now, I'd say about 42 to 41%, somewhere in that window. I mean, I'm not feeling too confident about their play lately, mainly from Lamar Jackson.
Yeah, I'd say probably 35%. I'm probably sitting somewhere decently close to where you are.
I'd say get ready for next season. There does not seem like they have any intent to contend for the Super Bowl, let alone a playoff spot at this rate.
No, I couldn't agree more. Hey, if you want to get on the show, use hashtag Ravens down below. Like I said earlier, we're going to be answering questions later. Probably going to get to about anywhere from 6 to 8 questions answered. If you want your question to be featured on today's mailbag, use hashtag Ravens in the chat. Say, Joey, hashtag Ravens. Where do you think the Ravens will be drafting in 2025? Joey, hashtag Ravens. Do you think that Todd Monken should be fired? Joey, hashtag Ravens. Will the Ravens make the playoffs? Great examples. Just got to make sure hashtag Ravens is down there. Look at what Attendance Squad or Fast 1, 2, 3 Hole just did. And you know what? Just do exactly what he did, right? Well, obviously, different question, but same format. Do you want John Harbaugh to be fired? We're going to discuss that a little bit later today. If you do, hit that thumbs up button. Like today's video. Right now, we got 70 people in here, 6 likes. I need that to at least get up to 30. Okay? I need that to at least be 30 before we start today's video. It's easy. It's free. It helps us out a ton. And, again, it's the best way to support us as we support you every single day. Time in the Buckeye said, did y'all hear Sharon Moore got fired? Yes, we did. In fact, if you're a Michigan fan and you want to get the coverage on that, head over to the Michigan Football Report. They're live, and they will be live probably still even after we're live on this show. So, now, because we want to at least keep people here, we might as well just mention it. Keep on hitting that thumbs up button. 16 likes. That means we're over halfway there. Let's go, let's go, let's go. Need to be at least 30. Some great questions. Will the Ravens, Daniel Fillet, change the number to 69 just to make fans even more mad? He needs to change his number to, I don't even know. He needs to not have a number. That's what he needs to do. It's just, he needs to not be a football player. That's it. Plain and simple. Okay. Gage, let's get started with today's show. Make sure y'all keep liking the video. Wow, we're already crushing questions. Keep them rolling in as we get going with our first segment. Ravens draft targets. That is what's coming up right now. And if you are ready to roll, Gage, let's get going. All right, let's start it right now. The Baltimore Ravens, let's just face it, they've not been playing good football. Now, there is always one good side of that coin. If you're not going to win football games, you at least have a pretty high draft pick. So on today's show, we're going to look forward to April, late April that is, and I'm going to give you my top Baltimore Ravens draft targets based off of Mel Kiper's most recent NFL draft big board. You got to stay tuned. You're going to be excited to see some of those names. I also would be really excited if you guys like today's video. The most likes we've gotten on a video in December, 374. Now, the most likes the Steelers have gotten on a video is 515. If you want to be better than the Steelers are, which I would hope you do, if you hate them like I do, if you want them to lose every single game for the rest of this year and for the rest of their existence, like today's show, let's get 600 likes at minimum, and we'll get started with today's show. Mel Kiper makes his return from hibernation, usually around this time every single year. He's incredibly active all the way up into the draft, and then it seems we don't hear from him. And then he comes out with a big board, and we're going to give you some draft targets off that big board. Now, the reason we are talking about this is because your team is under 500, ladies and gentlemen, which sucks to watch. However, it's not horrible when you realize that they've got a decent chance to land a top draft pick. Right now, I believe they're slotted around 13 range. This was from a couple of weeks ago. I believe right now is a little bit higher, I believe, at the 13th spot, and they got the 4% chance to land a top 10 pick. The standings right now are as followed. Steelers at the top at 7-6. Number 2, that's where you find the Ravens at 6-7. Bengals at 4-9. Browns at 3-10. The only way you make it into the playoffs is if you win your division. Right now, you are second in your division, and Steelers have the head-to-head. Basically, it feels like you got to win out, okay? And let's face it, that's going to be very, very difficult to do. You got to go on the road to Cincinnati. You got to play New England. Got to go on the road to Green Bay. Got to go on the road to Pittsburgh. So it's easy to see at least like 3 more losses in there. Hell, there's a world where you lose every one of those games. And if that's the case, then we really got to lock in on the NFL draft. Going into the draft, I think the Ravens have 5 big needs. Offensive line and defensive line. Starting off, edge rusher, really big one. Offensive guard is a massive one. Defensive tackle, I think, is really, really big. You just got to improve and get bodies in the trenches. If you do that, I think you look at wide receiver. And I also think you look at linebacker as well. But I would like to go heavy defense and heavy offensive line. Look, Eric DeCosta does not have much room for error. If John Harbaugh is back as this team's head coach in 2026, you are going to expect and need big things from him in this next season. And if not, he might be coaching for his job. Hell, he might be coaching for his job this year. You need to crush the draft, get a lot better talent, better depth, and go into 2026 with a little bit more confidence than what we've got right now in this season. Let's start with David Bailey. He's an outside linebacker, edge rusher at Texas Tech. On Mel Kiper's big board, he is the number 11 prospect. He is 6'3", 250 pounds, a little bit of a skinnier edge rusher. Think James Pierce Jr. from last year's draft. Maybe not as tall, but not like this absolutely jacked Nick Bosa type build. From Irvine, California, 42 tackles, 13 and a half sacks this season, and 3 forced fumbles for the Texas Tech Red Raiders. Mel Kiper went on by saying, a transfer from Stanford, Bailey gets after the quarterback. He had 14 and a half sacks over 3 seasons for the Cardinal, and he most notably has been more of a finisher this season. His 21.5% pressure rate is second in the nation, and he's up to 12 and a half sacks in 11 games with the Red Raiders, unlocking another level of his game. Look, David Bailey's a stud. He might be the best just straight-up athlete when it comes to defensive linemen in this next year's draft. And so because of that, I would love the possible addition. Mike Green, I don't want to say he's been a disappointment, but I think we all expected a little bit better things out of Mike Green. You're getting no pressure on the quarterback, and that's causing you, and it's a big reason that you're losing these football games. That's got to change. You win in this league, you win championships by being able to pressure opposing quarterbacks. Let me know, which position should the Ravens draft in the first round of the 2026 NFL Draft? Let me know in the comment section what you think down below. We talked David Bailey. All right, now we're going to talk defensive tackle. Let's go a little bit more inside on the interior. Peter Woods, big board ranking, number 13, defensive tackle for the Clemson Tigers. On Mel Kiper's original big board, he was a little bit higher. He actually was the number 6 prospect. Dropped him a little bit in his big board 2.0. 6'3", 315 pounds. He's only 20 years old, which is awesome. But the thing is, the production in 2025 necessarily has not been there. And Mel Kiper even addresses that. He says Woods has not been elite in 2025, but the skill set is exactly what NFL teams covet. In the pros, Woods would fit nicely at the 3 technique, though he has nice versatility to move around on a defensive front. He plays on the inside the majority of the time, but he also can be disruptive off the edge. His strength will intrigue a lot of NFL teams no matter where he lines up. Now, I've got some mixed emotions, some mixed thoughts, some mixed opinions on Peter Woods. Like, I don't know how interested I am in a project or how interested I am in a risk. The thing that I'm interested in is drafting a guy who's had success in college. Like, I think it's so easy to fall in love with pedigree, fall in love with size and strength. Me personally, I fall more in love with guys who dominate at that level. Because how can you expect them to dominate at the next level if they haven't been doing it at the current level they're playing football? Now, I know that like once in a blue moon, you take a risk on these targets and it works out very, very well. But also, there's a lot of times where it doesn't. And I don't think Baltimore's in a position to take that risk in the first round. What Peter Woods reminds me a lot of is Mozzie Smith out of Michigan. If you remember his draft at all, Cowboys took him in the first round. I believe that was 2022. Maybe, let's say 2022. Regardless, he didn't have a ton of production, but he was a freak athlete, unbelievable strength. And I think he's maybe gotten 3 tackles in 3 seasons. So I don't know how interested I am in that. I know something you will be interested in, though. It's our awesome sponsor of today's show, our great friends over at Prize Picks. It is the holiday season, which means it's the best time of the year for sports, bowl games, basketball matchups, playoff pushes. It is all happening at once. And while you and I are out here making decisions every day, what gifts to buy, what to eat, which game to watch, there's one place where it feels good to be right, and that's Prize Picks. My wife couldn't even name 4 pro teams coming into this season, and then we started playing on Prize Picks, and now every single Saturday night, we're breaking down who she's picking for her lineup. It's the most exciting way to watch football. Prize Picks now has early payouts. If your lineup gets off to a hot start, you might have the option to cash out those winnings before the game even finishes. Here's my Prize Picks lineup for SEC, college football playoff games happening next weekend. Took the more on Trinidad Shambles, 1.5 passing touchdowns more. Ty Simpson, half a rushing touchdown. John Mateer, I took the more on his half a rushing touchdown as well. I know the college football playoff is still a little bit over a week away. I'm excited, though. Hopefully you guys are excited as well. Get even more excited with our friends at Prize Picks. Download the Prize Picks app today and use code CLNS to get $50 in lineups after you play your first $5 lineup. That's code CLNS to get $50 in lineups after you play your first $5 lineup. Links to this promo is in the comments and description of today's video. Prize Picks, it's good to be right. Let's stay on the defensive line, shall we? Can you tell what I think the biggest need for the Baltimore Ravens is? Ruben Bain Jr., edge rusher for the Miami Hurricanes. A lot of people kind of midway through the season thought there was a chance this guy was going to be the number 1 overall pick, like number 1 pick taken that's not a quarterback. I think his production has fallen off a little bit as the season's gone on, but he's still incredibly impressive. 6'3", 275 pounds. He's a lot more built than David Bailey Jr. is, or than David Bailey is. Maybe not as fast, but there's a lot of things to like about him, man. And Mel Kiper said he's powerful and really strong hands. He routinely gets the best of some very good offense tackles, often with his dominant rip move, and he knows every trick in the book in getting home to the quarterback. Bain also shows speed and bend off the edge. He takes good angles. Plus, he can hold the edge against the run and get off blocks to chase down ball carriers. His tape is just filled with disruption. Now, this might be my number 1 choice right now because I feel like he's got pro-ready size. He's got a pro-ready bag. And I also what I really love about him is his effort, his hustle. You're never going to wonder, did Ruben Bain just kind of give up pursuing that play? Seems like every single snap, he's given it his all, his 100%. And he has everything you want, size, tape, and production. What I think is a big thing that people will just for some reason forget around the NFL draft. I'm not one of those people. Name a player you want the Ravens to draft down below in the comment section. Drop a name for me, all righty? Let me know who you want. We talked defensive line. Let's talk offensive line now, okay? How about Vega Ione? Formerly played for the Penn State Nittany Lions. Number 17 overall prospect in Mel Kiper's big board. Plays offensive guard. And Vega is a guy that kind of came into this season with not a ton of hype around him. Like, people thought he was going to be good at Penn State, but I don't think people really had their eye on him in NFL draft circles. Well, that has changed. 11 games played, 0 sacks allowed for the Nittany Lions. Vega drives defensive tackles, Mel Kiper says. Off the ball and sustains his blocks well. He can get to the second level and torque defenders out of the way, and he's incredibly agile at left guard for his size. Ione has 31 career starts, has given up only 2 sacks over that time, both in 2023. Look, we know this is a massive need. We don't really even need to discuss it that much. We know that Daniel Faalele is not getting the job done, and frankly, let's call a spade a spade. Neither is Andrew Voorhees. I would be so content if Vega got drafted in the first round by Baltimore, and then next year, your starting offensive line at the guard spots, Emory Jones Jr. and Vega Ione. Sign me up for that right now. Another guy who would be hard to pass on is Mekhi Lemon, okay? We're going to round things out offensively. He's the big board number 7 prospect, so highest that we've talked about today. However, with a lot of quarterbacks going above him, there is a chance he slides all the way down to the Baltimore Ravens. 5'11", 195 pounds, 79 catches on the season, 1,100 yards, 11 touchdowns. And the impressive thing is like he did that with also having to share the rock with Jordan Tyson, another wide receiver that's going to go in the first round. Imagine if he didn't have him on that team. This kid would have caught for like 1,600 yards. Kid's a warrior, Mel Kiper says, who plays passion. I'd want Lemon on my roster. He snatches the ball away from his body in an attacking manner, then runs with a fierce approach after the catch. He is one of my favorite players in the class. He currently ranks 3rd in the nation in receiving yards. Look, if he's available, that's a really tough choice because I think wide receiver is a need, but I don't think it's a top need. But Lemon is one of those players that's incredibly hard to pass on because you know and you feel like he could be a generational talent. But is it worth it passing on to defensive linemen or offensive linemen? The good thing is it's only December. We don't have to figure that out right now. Make sure you got me followed on socials, Twitter, Instagram. Make sure you're subscribed to the channel. Daily videos right here on the Baltimore Ravens Rundown where you could go and hang out with us every single day. All righty, we're going to get into segment number 2 because you guys just keep on crushing us with awesome, awesome questions. We don't even really have to beg. Gage, who is your favorite target on that list?
I like, being a Penn State, I like Vega a lot.
Yep.
I mean, he was great, and he had nothing to worry about when you saw whenever Penn State played against a really good defensive team. But like you said, Mekhi Lemon, that name, I think the part that you got to put in consideration, not only is he a great receiver, it's his yak that he picks up. His yards after a catch, I think, goes unnoticed. And I think that's why I think he's going to be a great player in the NFL. The next Justin Jefferson, or the next Puka Nacua. I really, really admire. I really like how he's been at USC. He's one of the silver linings for why they're a top 15 team in the country right now.
Yeah, no, you're not wrong. He's a stud, and I think that he'd be an awesome pickup. Truly, I think that is somebody I'd be really interested in. And like I said, he would be very, very hard to pass on. Okay, let's do preview. Ravens, Bengals coming up week 15. Gage, you ready to roll? All right, let's get it right now. We got an AFC North rivalry matchup coming up very, very soon, as in, tomorrow. Cannot believe the rematch is already here between the Cincinnati Bengals. Last time you played them, they got the better of you, and it really wasn't very even close. This was a team that felt like dominated you from tip to chop. Hey, Gage, I'm going to restart that one. You guys can see a little bit how the sausage is made. I'm going to restart that in 3, 2, 1. Baltimore Ravens versus Cincinnati Bengals tomorrow, and this one feels like it's got a lot on the line. Welcome to the show, everybody. My name is Joey Petersen, and let's be real. This one is a must-win, okay? This one feels like if you don't win this game, your season might be over. It doesn't even really matter what happens to the Pittsburgh Steelers. You need to win this ball game. Frankly, you need to win every single ball game you play from here on out. Right now, you don't have a great chance to make the playoffs. Your playoff chances are also your division chances. They sit at 27%. With a win, that jumps up to 41, but with a loss, that goes down to 13. Now, you could have handled them at home on Thanksgiving. You didn't. Now you got to go handle them in their place. And if you lose this ball game, you lose something that you've had for a while, which is your destiny in your own hands. You've had control over your postseason. And although losing on Sunday sucked to Pittsburgh, you still could win out make it in. Even if Pittsburgh wins every game they play except the one they play you. So you right now, if you're on destiny in your hands, if you lose this game, you don't. So how do you win this game? Number one, you got to win the turnover battle, okay? This is imperative. This is important. This is probably the biggest thing I'm looking at going into this ballgame. I mean, last time you played it, do we even really need to talk about it? 5 turnovers. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 of them. You're not going to win any football game you play if you turn the ball over 5 times. Unless you turn the other team over like 4 at least. And you turned it over in like some horrible situations. Turnover number 1, fumble in your own red zone. Number 2, fumbled out of the back of the end zone. Isaiah Likely running for the touchdown. That's like a massive swing. Number 3, you fumble with 36 seconds left in the half, allowing them to get a late field goal they did not expect to get. Interception in the red zone. And then fumble number 5. You're down 14, but 4 minutes left on the clock, so technically you could still talk yourself into maybe we could score, get an onside or score, get a stop, burn a couple timeouts, then score again, and then you just fumbled it and game was over. You as a team have a -5 turnover differential, 27th in the NFL. It's a bottom 5 team. That's the thing that sucks. Is like not only have you been turning over the football a ton this season, you're not forcing other people to turn it over to you defensively. It's like if you are throwing picks offensively, you just know, all righty, that's got to stop ASAP because we're probably not going to turn them over. And that can't be the case. It cannot. You want the Ravens to beat Cincy? Do them one big favor. Hit that thumbs up button. Like today's video. We're going to be live for this game. Make sure to join us. Hour-long tailgate, play-by-play the whole time. I need you guys to be there. Hang out. Subscribe. Turn on those notifications. And if you want to beat Cincinnati, like the video. Number 2, you got to be able to pressure Joe Burrow. That's been the biggest, I think, weakness of this Ravens defense so far this season is they can't really pressure anybody. And if Joe has all day long, he's going to pick you apart. There's no ifs, ands, buts, or maybes about that. If you give him time to throw, time to sit back there, pat the ball, time for his receivers to get open, I promise you he's going to throw for over 275 yards and 3 touchdowns. And he had all the time he wanted to in Week 13. You only sacked him once, 13 quarterback pressures, and that was on like 50 dropbacks. Quarterback pressure rate of 27%. So basically a fourth of the time you got him, he had 2.81 seconds to throw every single dropback. And their offensive line isn't very good. Like if this was you playing Denver or playing Chicago or playing the 2016 Dallas Cowboys, that would make sense. You're playing the 2025 Cincinnati Bengals. You need a big game out of Draymond Jones and Mike Green. You need a big game out of those 2 guys. They've showed you flashes. Mike Green has showed you can get pressures. Need him to start finishing. Can't get ducked by a 42-year-old Aaron Rodgers. Draymond Jones, traded for you. Where are you at? Need these guys to wreak havoc. Or is it wreak havoc or wreck havoc? Wreak havoc. That's what I need to do. Wreak and wreck it. I don't care. Bring the havoc. Number 3, you need Lamar Jackson and Derrick Henry legacy games. This one's not too complex. Like, I don't think this one involves a ton of discussion, a ton of breakdown, a ton of stats or analytics. In these games, when your season is on the line, you need your best players to step up in big ways. There's no ifs, ands, or buts about that. It feels like win or go home. If you lose this ball game, your season's basically done. So you need your best players to be at their best. And that's Lamar, and that's Derrick Henry. Now, unfortunately, Lamar Jackson has not been at his best recently. In fact, 4 straight games of sub 60% completion percentage. Lots of turnovers, not a lot of touchdowns. So what I need 0 turnovers for Lamar, and I need 2 or more touchdowns minimum. And I need 100 or more yards from Derrick Henry with at least 1 touchdown. That's what I need from those guys. But I think the most important metric for Lamar is that one right there. 0 turnovers. 0. What's your score prediction for Ravens versus Bengals? Let me know down below in the comment section. I'm going to give you my score prediction in just a little bit, but give me yours first while I talk to you guys about the sponsor of today's video. That's our friends over at Ethos. As you know, my wife Kennedy and I got married a little over a year and a half ago. I imagine we'll buy a house maybe the next 6 months or so, start having kids maybe the next couple of years. If something were to happen to me, the last thing I want the people I love to worry about is being able to pay the bills. So I trust Ethos to keep them protected. It's not fun to think about what would happen if something happened, but you do need to be prepared. With life insurance through Ethos, your family is protected. Life insurance is a perfect way to make sure you're covered. You can get your free quote at ethos.com/NFL Daily. That's ethos.com/NFL Daily. There's no complicated process, and it's 100% online. As of March 2025, Business Insider named Ethos the #1 no medical exam instant life insurance provider. Just answer a few health questions, get a quote in as little as 10 minutes. 3 million families have completed their applications and trusted Ethos to help you find the right coverage. Protect your family with life insurance from Ethos. Get your free quote at ethos.com/NFL Daily. That's ethos.com/NFL Daily. Application times may vary and rates may vary. Number 4, you got to be able to stop Jamar Chase. I said this last time he played this team, and frankly, as long as Jamar Chase is suiting up with the Cincinnati Bengals, and as long as the good Lord allows me to talk about the Baltimore Ravens, I'm going to talk about stopping him when you play this team. You didn't do it last year. We've already showed you this. We've gone over it. He averaged 185 yards, 2.5 touchdowns a game when he played you in 2024. And this year, less touchdowns, but 7 catches, 110 yards, 15.7 yards a catch. That does not sound like stopping him to me, does it? And it seemed like they went to him every big play, every third down. If they were 3rd and 7 and beyond, the whole stadium, Gage and I, right here in Studio P, downtown Dallas, Texas, we know Joe Burrow was going to Jamar Chase. Now, it was killer, I'll mention this, not having Nate Wiggins in that second half. Okay? He didn't play a snap. He was out with injury. You're going to have him. I would suggest he stays on Jamar Chase all night. And number 5, as number 5 always is. But it's more imperative now than ever. You got to make the play late, okay? You got to come up with the big stop. You got to get the big score. You couldn't do it last week. 4th and 2. You got stopped. Couldn't run a 2-minute drill. Your defense, let's talk about them. They were making big plays late. 3 straight, 3 and outs in the 4th quarter. But the offense couldn't do it. It's either you rise to the occasion, you perform in the clutch, or your season's over. And we're going to be here on Monday morning talking about what is this team going to do in the offseason. And I don't want to do that. Now, this might be manifestation, but I'm predicting the Ravens to win this ballgame. I just have to believe, backs against the wall, season on the line, you're going to get the best from Lamar Jackson. I have to believe that. I believe in his skill set and his talent too much to not believe that, frankly. So that's my prediction. Ravens 27, Bengals 24, and hopefully you get back in the win column. That's going to do it for today's show. Make sure you guys follow me on social media, at Twitter, or on Twitter, at Joey Petersen8, on Instagram, at Joey Petersen8 as well. Subscribe to the channel, youtube.com/RavensTV. All righty, it is mailbag time, ladies and gentlemen. Appreciate you guys for being here. Nashman Rice says 28-20 Bengals. Ugh, is right. Sorry, guys. I'm having to check my Twitter. No updates. Tennessee, who I am alumni of. I also cover them for Chat Sports, Tennessee Football Talk. Check it out if you haven't. They got some rumors today that they're going to hire a new defensive coordinator, so just checking in to making sure nothing official has happened since we've been live. All right, Gage. It's mailbag time. I'm ready to roll if you're ready to roll. All right, let's do it. Okay, our Ravens. Do we have enough questions? Let me ask first. Yeah, I feel like we probably do. A reminder for that first question. Cool. Oh, good. Good. Sweet. We got enough. Let's do it. Let's be around 10 to 11, Gage. Sweet. Perfect. All right. It's my favorite time of the week. Y'all's questions, my answers right here on the Baltimore Ravens Rundown Mailbag. All righty. Let's do it. What's going on, everybody? Welcome into the Baltimore Ravens Rundown. My name is Joey Petersen. Coming up on today's show, we got questions from our viewers for me to answer right here on the channel. We're going to address some John Harbaugh rumors. We're going to talk draft, coaching changes, all of that and more on today's show. But we're going to start with John Harbaugh, okay? Because we've actually got some rumors coming from ESPN's Jeremy Fowler that we need to discuss with this question. Sunblock, great name, horrible profile picture. Should the #Ravens fire John Harbaugh? See, this one's interesting because it depends on who you ask. There's very differing opinions on this. I am under the opinion if you don't make the playoffs, and even if you do, and you lose in the first round, and you look horrible doing it, it is time to move on. Now, a recent ESPN article was released. Dan Graziano was on it. Jeremy Fowler was on it. And they talked about, or Jeremy Fowler was asked about, possibly the Ravens moving on from John Harbaugh, and he said the Ravens are really interesting. That will qualify as a pretty major surprise. And while I think Harbaugh stays, something seems off there. It should not be 6 and 7. Don't even comment it down below based on their roster talent. And Jeremy, frankly, I could not agree. And I do like the fact that he said something feels off there, and that they shouldn't be that record with all the talent on the roster. Like, I'm glad that people are at least starting to notice it. Because I feel like anytime you ever talk John Harbaugh security, all the big media heads at ESPN, CBS were like, oh, no, you can't fire Harbaugh. But he's mentioning there, while he thinks they still say that he still stays, which kind of sucks, he's at least talking about there is cause to at least have the conversation. And I think there's been cause for a while. I think if you never draft Lamar Jackson, John Harbaugh was fired probably 3 years ago. Because look at life before Lamar. 8-8, 5-11, 8-8, 9-7. Just mediocre. John Harbaugh is not the one that's pulled this Ravens team from the depths. It's been the 2-time MVP. Now, sure, he's not playing his best football right now, but regardless. Like, yeah, he's been here since 2008. He's won a Super Bowl. It's amazing. Not a lot of coaches have done that. Great regular season record. Postseason record, still a winning percentage, but you're like 4-6, I believe, in your last 10 playoff games. 0-4 on the road. Last time you've played playoff games on the road, last 4 times. Look, man, something's got to give. This needs to be a conversation. Sometimes you just need something new. You need a fresh start. And if you miss the playoffs with this talent on the roster, this team needs a fresh start, and I think John Harbaugh should be gone. Now, who replaces him? That's a big question. Brian Flores, probably my number one defense coordinator for the Vikings. Robert Saleh, I love. I think he got dealt a horrible hand in New York. I think he's a great coach. Jesse Minter, he's a young and up-and-coming name with the Chargers. Joe Brady, I think would be interesting to give a look at with the Buffalo Bills. He's done great things with Josh Allen. Imagine what he could do with Lamar Jackson. I think Jeff Hafley, another guy with Green Bay Packers, defense coordinator, been getting some love. But I think these 3 guys really are the epitome of play like a Raven, and I think they'd fit perfectly. Should the Ravens fire John Harbaugh? Let me know down below. Give me a yes or a no in the comment section. Should they blast him to the sun? Okay? Let me know down below what you think, where you sit, and how you feel about it. I personally say yes if you don't make the playoffs or if you lose in the first round. You might disagree. Lil Bryson coming up with a question. Do you think the offensive line pickup is a good idea for the Ravens because he wasn't great on the Texans? Yeah, Lil Bryson, if you didn't know, is referring to Laken Tomlinson, who the Baltimore Ravens signed yesterday to the practice squad with hopes of probably promoting him to the active roster. Now, in my opinion, the reason you do this is because Ben Cleveland's suspension and because Daniel Faalele and Andrew Voorhees have been horrible. If they feel like Laken Tomlinson can compete for a roster spot, I think he deserves to compete. Frankly, I don't put too much stock in him being bad with the Texans because you could put like the best offensive lineman in the history of the game on that Texans offensive line. He's probably not going to look very good. They're pretty bad from top to bottom. Well, the Ravens, they're not great, but they're only really bad in the interior. Like, we believe in the tackle still. We believe in Tyler Linderbaum. And so if you fit Laken Tomlinson in the middle of, let's say, Tyler Linderbaum and Roger Rosengarten, I think he'd be a lot better. Especially a lot better than he was with the Texans. Giselle coming up next. Hashtag Ravens, you talked about the draft and options there, but what free agents do you like? So free agents for next year, I'm assuming you're asking, Giselle. It's a great question. George Pickens is an interesting name, interesting discussion. I don't know if he's worth the locker room, like harm that he might bring. Let's see that. 2026, because I don't know off the top of my head right now. Let me tell you, guys, I'd be interested in. Travis Jones, obviously, he's your free agent. Jalen Phillips, edge rusher for the Eagles. Alante Taylor, cornerback for the Saints. John Franklin Myers, would love that defensive lineman for the Denver Broncos. He is probably one of my top guys right now. I'd say Jalen Phillips and John Franklin Myers are my two top ones. Great question, though, Giselle. Ravens 76 B more. You think Steve Bisciotti is scared to fire Harbaugh? Yes, I do. I think they're two good buddies. I think they have sleepovers. I think late at night they get their blankets and they're on the phone with each other, and one of them's laying on the bed with their feet kicking up in the air like this. Like, I just think they're way too close. And I think they're best friends at this point. I mean, I don't blame them. They've worked together for a very, very long time. They've helped build the Baltimore Ravens to what they are today. And I think that buys John Harbaugh a lot of job security. Now, is it warranted? I don't know. I don't think so. Maybe it is up until this point, but I don't think it should last much longer. We have more questions to get to on the other side of this awesome ad read for our awesome sponsors over at PrizePicks. It's the holiday season. It's the best time of the year. It's also the best time of the year for sports, bowl games, basketball matchups, playoff pushes. It's all happening at once. And while you and I are out here making decisions every day, what gifts to buy, what to eat, which game to watch, there's one place where it feels good to be right, and that's PrizePicks. On PrizePicks, how you play is up to you. If you want flexibility, choose Flex Play, where you can get paid even if one of your picks misses. And if you want the biggest payouts, go for the Power Play. No matter your play, PrizePicks is a great way to put your takes to the test. PrizePicks now has early payouts. If your lineup gets off to a hot start, you may now have the option to cash out those winnings before the game even finishes. Here is my PrizePicks lineup. We talked playoff pushes. We got the college football playoff coming up in about a week. I took Lamar and Trinidad Shambles, 1.5 passing touchdowns against Tulane. Lamar on Ty Simpson, half a rushing touchdown against Oklahoma. And speaking of Oklahoma, I took Lamar on John Mateer, half a rushing touchdown against the Crimson Tide. Download the PrizePicks app today and use code CLNS to get $50 on lineups after you play your first $5 lineup. That's code CLNS on PrizePicks to get $50 in lineups after you play your first $5 lineup. The link to this promo is in the comment section and description of today's video. PrizePicks, it's good to be right. My man at Fast123 Hole, also known as Attendance Squad. Is it just me, or does they likely always hit the end zone? Hit with the end zone curse. Yeah, it's pretty unbelievable. I mean, those are two game-changing plays. Both of them in the hands of Isaiah Likely in the last two ball games you played. Fumbling out of the back of the end zone against Cincinnati. I believe that touchdown would have given you the lead or tied the ball game. Then the touchdown where he didn't make a football move, ball got jarred out of his hands, that would have given you the lead over the Pittsburgh Steelers this last week. Feels like he's a little bit of an end zone curse. And frankly, it feels like they probably made the right decision, not extending him in the summer. Because as much as we want him to live up to the hype we create in our minds, he just hasn't. Joey, why is this organization so delusional? And do you think we replace these bum-ass guards? Great questions. I don't know for the first question. It's frustrating. They're living in the past, and John Harbaugh is a big reason because of that. And look, I talk about John Harbaugh a lot. If you are the New York Giants, like let's say this. If I was Marshall Green for Giants now and the Baltimore Ravens fired John Harbaugh, I would be begging for the Giants to hire him. Because what that franchise and organization needs is stability. The Ravens kind of already have. John Harbaugh's helped bring that. They need something else. They need an edge. They need a difference maker. They need somebody with schematical advantages. They just need somebody new and fresh. So I think he'd be a home run for somebody else. Okay? I want to make that clear. Do you think we can replace these bum-ass guards? Not in season, but I think next year. I think you draft offensive guard early in the first 2 rounds. I think you run with whoever you draft and Emory Jones Jr., and you're a lot better next year. Jay Relomes, if we don't extend Flowers, you think we pick a wide receiver in the draft? Yeah, I do. I do think that's a need. I don't think it's a big need. Like, I don't think you need to address it in the first 2 rounds, but I do think you need to address it before day 3. Mike Nintendo Master, is it time to tank? No. Like I said, you still control your destiny. I've talked about that before. You keep winning. If you win out, you make the playoffs. So, no, it's not time to tank yet. But if you lose Cincinnati, Steelers win, then maybe we have the conversation. G5 is FBS 2. What's the Ravens' biggest need in the draft? Interior defensive line, 1. Interior offensive line, 2. You can flip those. Edge rusher. Those are the 3 biggest needs. In any order. Okay, those are all flip-floppable. You can go edge, D-tackle, offensive line, edge, offensive line, D-tackle, offensive line, edge. I don't care. Those 3 are your biggest needs. What do you think the biggest need is in the 2026 NFL Draft? Let me know down below in the comment section. Weigh in. Give me your answer. Make sure you got me followed on socials, Twitter, Instagram. I'm on both platforms. And make sure you subscribe to the channel, youtube.com/RavensTV. Daily coverage right here on the Baltimore Ravens Rundown. Alrighty, that's going to do it for today's show. Sorry it was so quick, but we got a lot of things to take care of around the office. Make sure you guys subscribe. We're going to be live not next Sunday, this upcoming Sunday for the Bengals game, 11 Central, 12 Eastern. I better see you there. So make sure you're there, subscribe, turn on those notifications. For Producer Cage, my name is Joey Petersen. Y'all have a wonderful rest of your day. And God bless.